Hello everyone, my name is Chris McIntosh. I help teach the capstone courses. Today we're talking about the methods sections of your paper, including interventions, study of the interventions, measures, and analysis sections. Work on each objective separately. Focus on one objective at a time. Create a subsection for each objective in the following sections. Write the interventions text, write the study of the interventions text, write the measures text, write the analysis text. Interventions is a Level 2 APA heading in this paper. It falls under the Level 1 Methods heading. The Squire explanation document mentions several relevant aspects of interventions you could discuss in your paper. The description of the healthcare improvement intervention includes or references enough detail that others could reproduce it. The Squire explanation and elaboration document refers readers to the template for intervention, description, and replication, or tidier checklist for a more complete list of items to include when describing an intervention. What is the name of the intervention? What is the rationale or theory behind the intervention? What materials were used for the intervention or training given to those who delivered the intervention? What procedures, activities, or processes were used in the intervention? Who delivered the intervention? What was their expertise or background? Describe the mode of delivery of the intervention. Describe the location of where the intervention was delivered, including any necessary infrastructure. When was the intervention delivered and how often? Was the intervention tailored to any specific individuals? If so, describe how. Was the intervention modified during the course of study? If so, describe how. Describe the extent to which the intervention was delivered as planned. Study of the interventions is a Level 2 APA heading in this paper. It falls under the Level 1 Methods heading. The Squire explanation document mentions several relevant aspects of the study of the interventions you could discuss in your paper. Ways to study the intervention include, but are not limited to, stakeholder satisfaction surveys around the intervention, focus groups, or individuals with involved personnel, evaluations of the fidelity of implementation of an intervention. If the effectiveness of different project objectives were assessed separately, be sure to discuss how each objective was assessed in this section. Measures is a Level 2 APA heading in this paper. It falls under the Level 1 Methods heading. The Squire explanation document mentions several relevant aspects of measures you could discuss in your paper. Measures used may be quantitative, qualitative, interviews, or observational in nature. If established measures were used, report the published validity and reliability information for each measure or instrument. If interviews or focus groups were conducted, include the interview guide created or used in the measures section. I've created a separate video about evaluating instruments used in quality improvement projects. You should watch that video for a more complete explanation of the items mentioned in this slide. But here is the list of things you should be reporting about each of the questionnaires, tools, or instruments used in your project. What is the purpose of the instrument? What is the target population for the instrument? What is the definition of the key constructs given by the creators of the instrument? How many items or questions are in the instrument? How are those items scored or rated by those who complete the instrument? How is the overall score for the instrument calculated? What types of validity and reliability information is published about the instrument? Evaluate the suitability of the instrument for how it was used in the project. Here's a note about copyright if you're going to publish your manuscript. It is useful to include the instrument content as an appendix in your paper. Appendices come at the very end of the paper after the tables and figures section. Appendices are lettered starting with Appendix A, Appendix A, Appendix B, etc. Copyright permission should be obtained to do this for publication. The copyright holder is usually the journal that first published the instrument and not necessarily the instrument developer. Analysis is a Level 2 APA heading in this paper. It falls under the Level 1 Methods heading. The Squire explanation document mentions several relevant aspects of analysis you could discuss in your paper. You should describe the qualitative or quantitative methods you use to analyze any data. You should also describe the benefits and drawbacks of the analysis method you used. Be sure to describe the analysis methods used to evaluate the effectiveness of each of your project objectives in the analysis section. Writing for this section will consist of assembling the information you gathered and organized during pre-writing into cohesive paragraphs. I'll be looking for well-formed paragraphs with topic sentences and supporting statements. AI prompts to help turn sentences into a paragraph and craft topic sentences are available on my GitHub page at the link above. You're not required to use AI tools, but they may help make the process a bit easier and produce a more polished finished product. Students are required to use Grammarly. ChatGPT is a useful editing tool. You can ask ChatGPT to improve individual sentences or paragraphs. Prompts to evaluate comprehension of content coverage have been written for most sections of the manuscript. Address all red highlights in Grammarly. Red highlights point out spelling, punctuation, and grammar problems. Address most blue highlights in Grammarly. Blue highlights in Grammarly highlight suggestions for improving clarity and conciseness in your writing. With the widespread availability and easy access to so many writing tools, you should never submit work that contains spelling and grammar errors. Double check your work before submitting your drafts. Double checking your work before submitting your drafts is your responsibility. Contact your professor if you need help learning how to use these tools. It goes without saying that you alone are responsible for the content of your own paper. Never use anything without reviewing it first. There is a big difference between help revising content you create and having another source create content for you. Professional editing services can cost between $50 to $120 an hour per average. It can save you time and money to use appropriate tools available to you. Double check your paragraph organization. I've talked about the reverse highlighting method before. Identify your topic sentences and then look at each sentence to see how well it supports that topic sentence. If you have multiple topics in a paragraph, you should consider creating new topics, new paragraphs. You need to use proper APA 7 citation and reference formatting. Nice examples for different reference types can be found on the APA style blog online. In-text citations should use either the author name and then the year in parentheses format, or the author last name, comma, year, all in parentheses format at the end of a sentence. ChatGPT did a respectable job of checking the formatting of a reference list. I'm providing the prompt I used. It had some mistakes for website references, but overall it caught a lot of mistakes. You'll still need to manually check each of your references for correct formatting. Mistakes to avoid. Be sure to cover material important for each objective in each section. Avoid skipping objectives. Just because you adequately covered one objective does not mean you've adequately covered all objectives. Avoid overly long or overly short paragraphs. Avoid paragraphs with multiple topics. That is all we'll be doing for now. We'll talk to you later.